All right, it is that time. It is that time, family. It is that time. A lot of folks, family, friends have waited for. I got this brother that I'm about to introduce on the show tonight, and people have been asking for this show for so long. Oh my God, for so long. And the brother got the internet in an uproar, and we are in an era where the people of this land are finally figuring out who they are, and it's causing so much controversy. And I want to talk to this brother, especially because he's been talking about this subject for so long.
10
Before,
years.
yeah, before it became the popular thing to talk about. And I want to figure out what exactly is this about? Why did he choose to create this channel? Why did he choose to go in this direction? I mean, there's so many things to talk about. We're gonna have a great conversation. We're gonna have a great show. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome to the show the 363 Empire, Dane Calloway, the principal chief, Dane Calloway. Dane, welcome, my brother.
I appreciate that. OCO and OCO to the chat. OCO brother Rich, this was long overdue.
Yeah,
To be
yeah.
honest with you, I don't want people to think that I wasn't aware of the brother. I was aware of the brother. I was tied up. It was just, all in divine time. I knew it was going to happen. Eventually, it was going to happen. But at that time, it was wild. It was wild and crazy, and I had to, make sure I crossed all T's and dotted all I's when I was out there. I was on the front line, and I was by myself taking the heat for a lot of things.
Mm,
So based off of what you were saying, yeah, this was a calling for me. It's a difference between me
mm,
and other people. People are probably doing it for their studies or some academic reasons, possibly to get more credit for some university or college.
mm,
No knocking that, but mine was strictly about, oh, wait, huh?
mm.
Wait, we Indians? Like, I'm learning this from my family members, and I'm like, what? Hold on. So, wait, hold on. Let me look into. I'm looking into this along with my family members teaching me and telling me where to go and allowing me to visit other people in my family, and that made me open up my mind more because I was always that type of person in school. I knew history was a lie. I was always questioning my history teachers. I never backed down or bit my tongue or any of that nature. I was more so the one that was going to interrupt the class and say, hey, I got a couple questions about that. Like, how do you know if that's actually true or not? I mean, of course, you can easily regurgitate that information that you're reading from a book that some author wrote that you won't even teach us. You won't even teach us about who
Right.
this author is, but yet we got to subscribe to their curriculum that they feed us and then
Mm,
have to go do some homework when we get home. I was the type to go against that.
mm.
And I was always that type of person, especially, as far as the mainstream school curriculum. Still to this very day, here I am combating it.
Mm.
And it just so happened to go viral.
Right. Indeed. No, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I remember seeing your stuff years ago, and it just stood out. Your stuff stood out. The way you presented it, and yeah, your energy, your voice. We don't take we take light of how important the voice is, and your voice played a very important role in how popular your information became. Your voice just carries a certain energy to it, a certain passion that can't be taught. So I got to give a shout out to your voice, my brother. Like, you really put a certain frequency and vibration out there when you do what you do. And I want to welcome to the show also, as me and Dane. Me and Dane is getting acquainted, so I'm kicking it with him. But I got to give a shout out, Topcatz, the Big Chief, legendary Topcatz, just joined us. It's one of them nights, y'all. It is one of them nights.
Woo, one of them nights.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to everybody out there, man. Man, is glad to be back in the empire. So as we building these many kingdoms, for years, this been a platform, this been a safe haven for some of the best minds from
Yeah.
different eras.
Yeah.
And bro Rich was able to put that together, man, and archive that and document that, and that's gonna be history as we live on. And it's just good to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Watching it so long and to actually be in here is surreal because I never wanted to do this, never thought about doing it. I was just a fan of the show. So yeah, all praise to the ancestors.
I wanna because I think y'all have something you want to show the people tonight.
Yeah, we gonna do it. We're gonna do a mix of both.
So I wanna ask y'all. Give me a second, service. I wanna ask Dane, since Dane, this is Dane's first time on the show, a couple of questions before we get into the presentation from both of y'all. Dane, I want to ask you, my brother. This is your first time. Why do you think? Just to start out with, why do you think the topic of what you're talking about? I'm reading the comments. I'm looking at everything going on around the world, and there's so many brothers doing what you do, but everybody does it in a different way. But like I said, you stand out because you were doing it, like you said, 10 years ago. I want to ask you, Dane, why do you think when the people of this land talk about what they talk about what you're talking about, why does people call it divisive? If somebody of another land, it could even be the Caribbean, it could be Africa, it could be wherever, if they talk about their land, it doesn't get that term or that label divisive as it does if you or Rod Hayes or Chief Topcatz or whoever talks about their history in a particular.
We're the chosen people.
So explain that to me, my brother.
We're the chosen people. We're the people that they know that what some of them would subscribe to as far as their Bibles or the Quran, whatever one they want to choose, the Torah, it was speaking about us, especially stories that already happened within this landmass that we know to be true, because, of course, those books that we're referring to have authors that are familiar with what happened here in the Americas. Now, we are the chosen people. They don't want the people that are chosen to acknowledge that they are chosen. Otherwise, things will be totally different here. But yeah, this is a common thing. They want us to subscribe to their ideologies, their indoctrination inside of schools, to keep our minds away from the truth. That's mainly what the agenda is about. To keep our minds away from the truth. This is the reason why I'm just here to make people think for themselves again, because they were taught lies when it comes to who they are, what they represent, and which direction they should go about living their lives on a continuous basis, daily basis. Mm-hmm. Put some respect on our name. See, a lot of people are copycatting. Mm-hmm. All of them are. Everybody had to get taught. Okay. Mm-hmm. And what better people or what better group of people, okay, to learn from other than the indigenous people of a landmass that you're trying to have a residency a part of, in some form of nature, citizenship. Their criteria are different because they're leaving their motherlands and learning a totally different culture here. Mm-hmm. These people don't know who they are, mm-hmm. but they definitely don't want us to know the truth because it exposes them. That's the threat. We're a threat to them. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It would change.
Indeed. What made you, like, I guess your family, but is your family what made you originally get involved in this particular study?
Only my family is the reason why I got involved.
Let me jump in real quick.
Yes.
All of us have South Carolina roots.
Branchville. I'm Branchville.
Mine's Florence, South Carolina.
Yeah, he out of Florence, and my people and them come out of the capital. The capital of South Carolina.
Dope. Yeah, no, that's dope. That's dope. Dane, I was telling Topcatz, he influenced me to look into my family tree.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate your brothers, what y'all do. And I want to ask you this, Dane, why do you think, even myself and a lot of other people, I chose to study, let's say, ancient Egypt before I even study my roots? Right. Why do you think we're more interested
in
and
other countries than
other
our own.
countries than our own roots. Because that was
That's the
something
school
that
system.
it took me a while to like say, nigga, study your own roots. So what? Go ahead, talk about
That's the school system all wrapped up into the political system as well. Because see, politically, during the 1960s is when they were pushing the blackity black, pro black this, pro black that. You saw groups of people getting together for a different cause. We thought it was the righteous cause. We thought it was for equal rights. Prior to that, we were fighting for civil rights. So if civil rights isn't equal, then what's the point of both? You should question both. Something was wrong with them. Okay, because we weren't at the head of neither movement. Okay, they had people who were not even from these land masses at the head of these movements. And it was integrated already. Notice how they were saying it's a white problem, white man problem, SNCC and LCLC and you know, even with I'm talking about SNCC, the one that started it, even the Black Panther Party, the original Black Panther Party of 1963, 63, they had people who were, you know, white skin or whatever you want to call it, Caucasian, on their team, on their organization, within their organization. Same thing with SNCC and LLC. And many other civil rights movements, you know, even the Black Panther Party. Look at them. Like their original logo was black and white, fists coming together, their original logo. And then they had the Black Panther as their logo after that. And then SNCC adopted that and they ran with the Dixiecrats, and that, the political thing threw us off on top of the school curriculum. Yeah, you know, everybody wanted to feel proud about something, and it shouldn't have been a word. It should have been the people. Like, I mean, we associated ourselves with that word because of what? Our skin complexion? What is the reason why? Because all of us are different shades of the color brown. There's no one black. This hoodie is black. My skin is not that same color. My hair is black. My skin complexion is not that same color. You got to know that that was a political status placed upon us to do us wrong, to do us in, so we won't go further. I feel as though those movements of the 1960s served a purpose, but it wasn't in our favor.
Do you look at these movements as it was good sometimes? And the reason why I ask you this is because sometimes we can look at the past from a present perspective and be critical, but we didn't know what it was like growing up in that during that time, so we missed the whole point. So give a case
in some cases, in some cases, yes, I would agree, but it's no excuse for the people of the 1960s. Those people are still with us. They're just the elders. Right. And unfortunately, I know people gonna think that I'm taking a shot at the elders, and you goddamn right I am. You wrong. You've been wrong for a while. So when you see younger brothers like me come up and I'm telling you, hey, I have more information and I'm showcasing it throughout all of my videos as to the reason why I went viral, you should pay attention. Stop thinking that you know everything when you didn't even have the internet access back then as you would today. Well, no, we had libraries and books. Yeah, and so do we. What makes you think that that's the only source of information? No. And, you know, some of them needed to humble themselves, but they were so, you know, hypocritical in their movements and their speeches. And then everybody wanted to be Afro studies this and Pan-African studies that. And yeah, it made it look good. Our women flocked to that, made themselves, you know, wear their Afros. And they look, you know, don't get me wrong, they look beautiful, you know, but dashikis came from where? Like, what tribe? Are you trying to say that everybody wore that same thing? Like, come on. People didn't put that together. Afro sheen in our hair and all the rest of that stuff. We don't even know where this stuff came from. We just assuming that our people had control over these merchandising and opportunities of coming together to go towards the government to fight for what? It didn't do anything. All that marching, all them holding signs for equal rights and equal employment and all the rest of that. Like, they just got rid of DEI, and you thought that was for your benefit, and it wasn't. Now what? It's hard for you to believe what Dane Calloway is saying, but yet you still don't even see the results from what they were promising years ago. But yeah, I got backlash for what I was doing because it was against the norm. I'm not the normal type. I'm not the type that's gonna, roll with the trends, for example, or, go with the commonly known information, what's commonly adopted to say, yeah, that's what we know to be best. That's what we're gonna run with. So yeah, I'm challenging the narrative. I'm controversial in a way, but I'm educational. Really, I'm more so about you knowing the truth. I'm a truth seeker and a free thinker. Can't nobody control how I think. But it's a lot of people out there who are suffering from that very point. Right? Unfortunately, because of how they were raised. That has to change, and it is changing. It is.
Dane, I want to know something that, like I said, this is the first time I have the opportunity to interview. One of the things I've heard, rumors, you can't really follow rumors because, we already know how that goes. But one thing I always hear about you is people say, yo, Dane say Harriet Tubman's story is fake. I want to hear from you directly, Dane. What exactly have you found out through your research about Harriet Tubman? Because I hear so many stories about things you say that's about Harriet Tubman, about this, about that. I want to know what exactly have you found out about Harriet Tubman that you can share with my channel today.
By the way, I do have documentaries out on this, and I also have a book out called False Heroes, False Hopes. And all the documents that I gathered are in that book, page by page. I'm not playing. I gathered records to verify that she is a fictional character, not just by way of word of mouth or somebody claiming that they related to somebody of prominence. That's how you know something is fake. That's just like me saying, oh, I'm related to Batman. Just because you know of Batman, that don't make it true. People didn't verify any of that when they didn't even verify what her name was. Now, as far as the story is concerned, it could be tied to someone, some truthfulness, but just like movies and books, yeah, they're going to give you fictional characters that could be based on real characters, but they're giving you fictional characters. No, these people are not real. Harriet Tubman was created by an act of Congress. Sarah Bradford of Geneva, Switzerland. She's not from, they're trying to state now that she's from New York and stuff like that. Based off of my stuff going viral, that's why they're trying to change the story every 5 years. But no, she's from Geneva, Switzerland. We still have the documents of that, and they admitted that in the court records, by the way. Created the story of Harriet Tubman. And still to this very day, her family and her lawyer, in which I can't remember his name right offhand, I don't have that in front of me, are still receiving funds from that. They get paid for that. All of that stuff about Harriet Tubman, books and movie-wise, that's not going to Harriet Tubman's family. That's not going to the people that will say that they're kin to Harriet Tubman. No, it's going directly to the people that created that story.
What reason, Dane, would they have to give us
money?
Hero? Because no, Dane, hold up now. If you study the history of Hollywood, they don't give us heroes. They don't give us people to look up to, aspire to. They give us people that keep us in a certain state of degeneracy and slave-like mentality. So what would they give us the story of a Harriet Tubman or a Nat Turner for?
Will we consider Harriet Tubman a hero?
In that time, yes. For somebody who helped slaves escape, don't hands down, Dane. Anybody who was moving like the story, I'm just saying according to the story.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm listening.
Anybody who was moving like how she was moving, I want to fuck with a sister like that.
You got to question how she's moving. If she's coming from a side of Maryland and she's been a slave, according to this story, has not been off of the plantation, how does she know her way to Canada? And then come back and get more slaves? Come on. At that time, GPS wasn't there, cell phone, no line of communication. Oh, she just ran into somebody that at that point they want you to fill in the gaps. It's conceptualism. That's what that is. They want you to fill in the gaps to make believe that the story is true. There's no way that she was able to do that. Get away from Maryland, number one, and know her way to what? A train station to get all the way up to Canada? Right. Please enlighten me on how she was able to do that. Because if she was able to do that, so were other people. And tell me their names.
Right. But once
They
again,
should be duly noted as well.
psychologically, what's the purpose of making her the hero? Do you think personally?
They made her a hero. False heroes, false beliefs, false hopes. Same thing with Nat Turner. Nat Turner was created by Thomas Ruffin Gray. He borrowed that story from the Richmond Whig, and I show people that the Richmond Whig newspaper, the alias was Turner. He created the alias in the act of Congress. Turner wasn't even his last name. Again, that was a story that was inside of the Richmond Whig in order for people to stop rebelling. They're trying to tell people, hey, this person was able to kill 70 people and his head got chopped off, as an example. I'm paraphrasing. But they're trying to scare people who are going to read those newspapers into stop revolting, or rebelling rather, and stop revolting. But that's what his story was about. Harriet Tubman's, again, it was the false hope into thinking that you were able to get out of your contracts, your indentures rather, indentured servitude for free, like just by running away. If that was the case, everybody would have ran away. But yet we only hear certain things that are duly noted. Few here, few there, when it's what? Thousands of people of us, of our skin complexion in every state. It was thousands of us then in every state back then. We will be hearing more than 5 or 6.
Right.
They weren't making sense. It wasn't lining up. All of this was for tourist attractions. The number 2 money maker in America is tourist attractions. Ooh. The tourist trail for Nat Turner is when I caught them. This is the reason why they don't have it. But shout out to Southampton, Virginia, is because I got down there and tracked them down and stopped them right in their tracks to show you that they were taking which Federalist house and, they making it up, trying to say that, Nat Turner killed this particular family in this house. They're going to move it to this location. All of this is on camera. Right, I stopped them in their tracks. Of course, I could have did the same thing with Harriet, but they moved so quickly. I just so happened to stumble upon Nat Turner's information. I wasn't looking for these people not to be real. Right. It just so happened that I was doing my investigation and shit wasn't adding up. And I'm looking like, where they at? Yeah. Wait a minute. Okay, this is the reason why. But yeah, they had tourist attractions set up for Nat Turner, and Harriet Tubman is still making money off of each book that come out about her and movie. And it's not her family, it's Sarah Bradford's estate.
Interesting.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Oh, 1 second. Let me, because this was a long time coming, Top. Look at me about 10 more minutes with that.
I told Dane already. I told him before we came in. I said, Dane.
I know you got the presentation. Y'all gonna go in. But yeah,
I told him. I said, hey man,
Dane, I'm so grateful because I'm like, I gotta ask Dane this face to face. I said, I seen clips and I seen people say things. I was like, yo, I gotta ask Dane this face to face.
They never prove a thing when I have, and I dare people to prove me wrong with evidence. I dare them. It's gonna be hard. I paid an arm and a leg for this research. I dare you, no matter who you are. I dare you to prove that she real. I dare you to prove that he real. Please. I dare you. Throw it out there. Anybody that's listening, anybody that got the funds to research what I researched, and I showed you my documents, show me yours.
Dane, what about Frederick Douglass and other people we hear about?
Frederick Douglass is real. I already did my documentary on Frederick Douglass. They made up a lie saying that I said Frederick Douglass wasn't real. I never said that. Okay. I said Nat Turner and Harriet Tubman only. That's it. But they were trying to, stretch the issue that they were having when, when the hate don't work, they start telling lies.
Dane, all right, so let me ask this, Dane. According to your research, I've talked to the Moors, Asir, shout out to Asir, Rod Hayes, shout out to Rod Hayes, a lot of people involved in this similar movement, and there's this consensus that the slave trade was exaggerated. We didn't all come from Africa.
Greatly, yeah.
So I want to hear your perspective about the lies being told about us coming from Africa or it being exaggerated. Tell me about
the slave trade was real, but the slave trade did not happen the way that we were told. Yeah. Like, we didn't come from Africa. Some of our ancestors were sent to Africa. Certain parts of West Africa were not populated. I have a whole book out on this called It Was Told in Reverse. The untold truth about the transatlantic slave trade story. It wasn't even the transatlantic slave trade. What they're referring to is the story of the Middle Passage. Because keep in mind, there's no such thing as transatlantic when you can't travel straight across the Atlantic with the ocean gyres sitting in the ocean. The ocean gyres are like tornadoes in the water that will sink you into a hole. You can't do that. Scientifically speaking, that's impossible. And then you have the coral reefs on the coast of each coast. So how did you travel to Africa when today, by way of a boat, what they're going to call a slave ship, which was a cargo ship, today, to this very day, it would take upwards of 90 days or more for you to travel in one direction to Africa still to this day. So what makes you think they were able to cut straight across back then? Impossible. But yeah, that's what they were lying about. Now, the routes that were documented are the ones that I'm referring to simplify things by way of the American Colonization Society. At that time, we talking 1800s. Yeah, they were sending people to the west coast of Africa, but the ones that wanted to go, the majority of those people that left were volunteers, and the majority of them were pastors and priests and some chiefs of particular tribes that were subscribing to a religious belief. And, that was their religious belief. They wanted to go over there and start a civilization, and, this was their way to freedom. I'm not denying that didn't happen at all. I'm telling you that's what happened. That ain't got nothing to do with them bringing Africans over here. The Africans came way later, 1900s. And I showed them that. Prior to that, it was nothing but what we would call people from the Caribbean or Caribbean islands, back and forth. And those would be our closely related people. Those would be if you ain't Indian, you ain't from here.
Yeah, I hear people say, okay, so the whole Caribbean thing, like I hear people say, the people in New Orleans, that's the culture from Haiti, I believe. What's the relationship between, and even America in general? I hear people comparing Haiti and America a lot. What's the relationship between Haiti and America?
As far as what is concerned, like meaning, like, those are our cousins? Is that what you were?
Are we one and the same? Are we?
I mean, everybody's of different tribes. Everybody's a different people. Because they're different land masses and the way they, have different cultures and practices and beliefs. I'm not saying that we're all the same people, but I know it's going to be some people out there that are saying that it's only one people. But you got to understand that it's multiple different peoples. People rather, in a particular landmass because of how they live. They inhabit that land differently from others. Like, we're not one and the same just because we share the same skin complexion. It doesn't work like that.
Topcatz, what you were showing? What was you showing me, Topcat?
Oh, nah, just right here in the Indian Bible. I'm not black. I'm Indian. Miseducation. We actually have chapter 6 is the Underground Railroad is an American Indian story. In here, pertaining to that topic that we were speaking about, we show all of the routes that they call the Underground Railroad were actually Indian routes. And right here on page 71, we have our dear sister Harriet Tubman, which is not a real name. So a lot of people that jumped out there should have understood that her name is not Harriet Tubman. But as we go through the sources real quick, 1668 biography, Tubman stated Tubman had made about 19 journeys into Maryland, guiding upwards to 300 people out of enslavement. Harriet Tubman rescued over 300 people, so I bring you to Harriet Tubman, the reference guide of her life by Kate Clifford Lawson. And we go to the indentured servant. Harriet Tubman's brother, Robert Rouse, had 2 sons, John Rouse Jr., who was indentured servants. So you had Thomas Hathaway and his wife, Sarah. When the state of America outlawed slavery, it confirmed that the Harriet family were indentured, not chattel slaves. And Amarita Rouse, that's her name. So they call her Minty because her name is Araminta Rouse. Now, Araminta, in the source right here, Harriet Tubman was born Araminta Rouse, Library of Congress, 1868, and it reads, she escaped slavery but returned 13 times to rescue who? family, and friend, not all slaves. Yeah, so she only rescued less than 30 people, maybe 14, less than 20 people. And that's coming from the Library of Congress. And I'm trying to figure out what these big scholars that out here, how y'all missing this when the information is there. And in my book, all of the sources, soon as we write it down, we're gonna source it all the way up, everything. So it's about like 5 or 6 sources where you can go get. Oh damn, I ain't in there. Yeah, 5 or 6 sources that show exactly what's going on. So she was a part of the Ross family, which was a Scottish line. She had nothing to do with down south. They equate Harriet Tubman story to slaves in the South. Now it was an underground railroad that took place in the South that was way more beneficial to our people than in the colonies. In the colonies, you had an indentured servant problem. Well, later in the 1800s, you would have a chattel slavery problem, which means that the Indian, the female, she would take on her and her kids would take on the slavery. They'll take on the status of their mother, and that's where we get chattel slavery. Harriet Tubman herself was an indentured servant, and also her, as we just seen, her brother and her nephews. So the people that she went back and saved were family members and not random slaves on plantations that she did not know.
Okay. Dane, I want to ask you, and Topcatz, of course, but I want Dane to start out this question.
Now we got Dane shining now. I told him before we went on, I said, hey man, I just came from over that week, get the shine on, you running point, just be ready tonight. We want to get you your debut. Make sure
let me reiterate something real quick. Anybody that has anything, against what I was saying about Harriet Tubman, I dare you to pick up my book and verify each of my sources that I have in the back of that book. It's called False Heroes, False Hopes. Okay, like I said, everything that I said about her stands until somebody debunk it.
Dane, you know how they'll give us a hero and we'll have our own hero within the grassroots. Who stands out to you as a hero when you research and study history, Dane? Who Dane like, this is the motherfucking hero right here?
I got one, big one too. Chief Powhatan.
Say that. Who's that?
Chief Powhatan.
Who's that?
Big Chief Powhatan. Chief Powhatan is the Virginia Indians leader. He did not play no games. In fact, that I have a book getting ready to come out. This is another thing. I mention this really quickly, briefly, because I'm not trying to go into that right now because I got some folks watching. Okay. But yeah, I'm getting ready to put out a documentary and a book on that. But yeah, he's the one that needs to. Them white folks were scared of him. He's the one. That's why they try to give you that Pocahontas story to make believe that he was somebody that he wasn't.
When's this coming out? When you coming out with the documentary in the book?
I'm trying to push that for January's release.
Oh, awesome. You gotta come back in January then, Dane. When you drop that, you gotta come back. Dane, Dane. So how do we get into this predicament in the first place with so-called white folks? If we
wasn't really no predicament
here.
There wasn't really no predicament unless until things got political. That was it. Like once things got political and they started allowing people to vote for presidents, this and
how do we lose
political
power?
Parties that's when things got out of hand.
How do we lose power? Let me say that. How would you say we lost power?
By handing it to foreigners, giving it to foreigners and allowing these foreigners to disenfranchise us by taking our rules and regulations, copying it and making it, differently for them, 1871, so they could, benefit off of their own constitution is what I'm referring to. They created their own constitution looking at ours as an example. What we had prior to that were confederacies. A lot of these tribes, like when you say tribes, or let me say, when you say nations, we had something similar to that, but a lot larger. They were confederations. I'm talking about bands of us were already together. This is what they saw when they got over here. But a lot of fighting happened. They even documented 61 wars in the 1800s alone because it was more than that because they didn't win every single one of them. So they only count on the ones that they either barely won or won. But it was way more wars than that. I didn't like how they were trying to make our people look like, they were weak. Nah, our people was fighting back, and it took them to use our own people against us in order for them to win. Buffalo soldiers, like as an example. Like you only an Indian gonna know where an Indian located. You can't just knock off one Indian and don't think that a whole group of them gonna be in a mountain somewhere aiming at you already. Yeah, no, they would. Our folks was dangerous in the right way. We were warriors for real. Our folks held it down. There was a lot of wars that happened. It was just unfortunate that we got cool with some people. What I would like to say is they came with flowers and the guns was in their back pocket. In other words, they got friendly with you and made it seem like everything was cool, but yet they were in it for their own benefit.
So Dane, does
that person in the back?
Does modern day immigration give you flashbacks of what you study in history?
Absolutely. It's still happening. What's happening today was happening back then.
Wow.
They're not even considering it a great migration no more. But anything over 20,000 or more, listen, as far as a population is concerned, 20,000 or more people will be considered a great migration. Trump said it was 10 million immigrants that were illegal here, if I'm recalling it correctly. That's multiple great migrations. People are not watching, but why you think he's trying to take these benefits away? It's not from our people. It's from the foreigners that's getting it for free.
And we got to remember the Ellis Island, that movement of the Europeans coming over. And it stopped in 1924, the Integration Act, because of World War I. We have to understand that in their documentation, they record 12.5 million YT people coming here. Now, you had a large migration under the Homestead Act. So a lot of homesteaders came from Eastern European nations.
Big time.
They were the white tea people, but from the late 1800s up until 1924, 12.5 million YT European people came here. But if we look in the transatlantic story, they say 12.5 million Africans came here. So they're destiny swapping with us.
Dane, when you said earlier, we are the chosen people. What in particular, when we hear that, because we right now, when we hear that word, there's copycats, and I'm not going to say their names because YouTube strikes pages. They just took down hundreds of pages for people who are going up against but we have copycats that say, "Oh, we're the chosen people."
I know where you're going.
So what would make?
Why you think they're not trying to make us say anything about them? Because they know they wrong. We can't even put the J next to the E or the W without them saying something.
Right.
They know they wrong. They know who the people are. And those chosen people weren't in a totally different landmass. They were here. That's why they got your mind over in Israel. If it was Israel, why they had the man make it? Don't get me started on that. This is a big channel too. We not trying to do that. Don't do it. Don't do it, brother. Not tonight.
They said, all right,
don't do that.
Turn up, Dane. Turn up. This is a debut.
Dane came shooting tonight. Dane got a sniper. Dane is shooting. Dane ain't playing. He ain't smiling. Yeah, I fucks with you, Dane. I appreciate that. I appreciate this interview. This is you ain't come to play games tonight. And I really appreciate that, my brother. Let's get because we're about at the 40-minute mark. Is there a presentation?
Damn, already? Oh yeah, man. You got what I say. You got to do it again.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. Yeah, we're gonna do it a lot. Is there's something y'all want to share? Dane, you got a presentation or a quick one?
I got multiple Jones, man. Let me start off with the one that me and Topcatz did. Can I do that? Like, I know it's slightly off a topic, not really, it's still correlating. Yeah. But me and so basically, when I saw him out of a lot of other content creators that are out there that claim that they're Indian, indigenous, Aboriginal, or Niji, okay, he stood out. And I said, wait, this a real one. Hold on, let me pay attention. I said, yeah. Hold up. No. He researching. He different. There's a few others, okay, but I'm talking about from this land, okay. And I said, yeah, nah, let me link up with him. We collaborated on something that I know for a fact that he would have smashed because he right there in it. He in the heart of it. So we talked about how the Cowboys are the Indians. They exposed this inside of this film called The Harder They Fall that Jay-Z produced. Did you ever get a chance to see that movie?
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
Oh no, no. Watch that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I'm not playing that movie on fire. And a lot of hidden messages. So we went over that, and I could have sworn, I was just talking to him the other day about this. I could have sworn this was 30, 40 minutes long, but believe it or not, a lot of information packed in it in 15 minutes.
Whoa.
This joint was fire.
Hey,
you mind if I play that?
Not because it's copyrighted. So I mean the channel is monetized.
No, this me.
Oh no, yeah, play. Hell yeah.
What you mean? I'm the producer. I'm the editor. I'm the writer.
Fire. Come on,
I'm the executive producer on this joint. You don't got nothing to.
Let's go, Dane. Let's go.
Anything I play, you ain't got to worry about. Even if they do come at you, you still ain't got nothing to worry about.
Hey, before we start, I want to say this here, how it came about. Dane hit me. And he told me what he wanted. And Dane, how fast I shot that back to you?
The same day.
Woo.
But I told him, hold up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't getting no sleep. You know what I'm saying? But we got it done in what was it, 2 days?
Yeah, about 24 hours. But yeah.
24, yeah. And then I posted it, yeah.
I sent mine right back. So y'all check this out. My first video that introduced me that, people started taking notice was me saying indigenous culture, country culture is indigenous culture. The things that we live by, we grew up on, is our culture. It's the culture that's always been here. So, Dane, roll that beautiful bean footage.
I'm about to do it now.
Let's get it, y'all.
Wait a minute. I share the screen the same way, right?
Yeah. And then I just got it. Once I see you put it up, then I'll share it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got about 2,400 people in the chat. It's a nice packed room tonight. I know everybody is excited. Once again, thanks to Dane, legendary Topcatz, for coming through tonight and blessing us with this information. I know a lot of people had questions from things they heard, especially with Dane. And I'm so thankful Dane came through just to clear the air on a lot of things that we have been hearing about throughout the years. So we about to get to this video.
I gotta press also share system audio in order for you guys to hear, right?
Yeah.
Hey, y'all get the likes up out there. Run the likes up and support Bro Rich. Support the Empire.
Let's see. Press
this my mouse here.
Okay.
It's starting off. But let me just. This is my old intro, y'all. We been did this, but now my website is DaneMakeYouThink.com. Please remember that it's DaneMakeYouThink.com.
Shit, is there audio we can't hear? I can't hear it for some reason. Damn. Okay, it was down. Yeah, there we go. All right.
My bad.
No doubt.
Flame the chat. Get the mics up. We about to rock out. Flame the chat.
See you, everyone. Today, I just wanted to share with you some background information concerning this powerful movie called The Harder They Fall, which is a modernized version of a fictional American Western movie directed by James Samuel and executive produced by hip-hop pioneer Jay-Z. Now, even though this movie is fictional, most of the characters portrayed in this movie are real people. And this was right up Jay-Z's alley to produce due to his uprising as a child. Jay-Z has mentioned before that his father's love for the Cowboys lifestyle drove him to become a fan of the Dallas Cowboys football team, even though he was born and raised in the state of New York.
I grew up, my pop is really my pop for, you know.
That's his
He grew up in, that era, that era of those guys who, you know, wanted that whole cowboy lifestyle.
Now, before I go any further, I want you to be aware that some of the information that I'll be presenting in this video could potentially spoil the plot of the movie. So if you haven't watched the movie just yet, then I suggest that you pause this video and go watch The Harder They Fall on Netflix. I highly recommend it, and I'll see you again once you've completed it. And by the way,
can y'all turn it up
this is not a
some, Dane?
sponsored video. I'm just simply appreciating the great content I watched personally, and would love to share more information about it with you now. Now, I can confirm that 8 out of the 13 characters displayed in this movie are real people. Some were outlaws, some were lawmen, like sheriffs or mayors, and some were, of course, the real cowboys of the 19th century. Even though mainstream Western films of the 1920s and beyond gave the real Indians minor roles in their films, usually depicting them as comedic characters as a joke, while all of the cowboy roles were given to pale-skinned foreigners to be depicted as such, allowing for the next generations to come to believe that prominent cowboys of America were mainly of pale skin, when that is absolutely not true. The main protagonist of this movie was a famous cowboy by the name of Nat Love, but to some, he was known as Deadwood Dick, being as though he was a consistent rodeo winner of Deadwood, South Dakota. Nathaniel Love was a veteran cowpoke, a professional horse rider, and proficient gunslinger that could track down stampeding cattle and rope wild mustangs with ease. It was said that fear didn't exist in his blood due to his Cherokee heritage by way of his mother and father of Davidson County, Tennessee, where he was born and raised on his family's plantation in June of 1854. Now, it was said that he published his own book in 1907, in which he describes in detail his life as a cowboy. And on page 99 of this book, he describes being shot and wounded and captured by a band of Pima Indians, led by a man named Yellow Dog. He describes the Pima Indians as being, quote, composed largely of half-breeds and people of colored blood that eventually nursed him back to health. He shares that these Pima Indians respected his Indian heritage so much that they promised him 100 ponies in return if he joins the tribe and marry Yellow Dog's daughter. But after a month in captivity, he steals a pony and escapes 100 miles west in 12 hours. The main antagonist of this movie was a famous outlaw named Rufus Buck. Buck lived a rather short life due to his uprising as the leader of the Rufus Buck Gang of Oklahoma. Buck was born to 2 Creek Indian parents, and for this reason alone, it was said by Harvard Magazine that, quote, he dreamed that his gang spree would trigger an Indian uprising that would expel the illegal white majority and reclaim the whole territory for its native people, end quote. To many people, they were heroes, but the Rufus Buck Gang's violent redemption campaign abruptly ended after a total of 13 days, when all members were finally caught, tried, and hanged. Rufus Buck was living fast and died young, witnessing his last afternoon at just 18 years old in Fort Smith, Arkansas on June 1st, 1896. The Harder They Fall also portrays another real-life pioneer named Jim Beckworth in the movie, but officially known as James Pearson Beckworth of Frederick County, Virginia. He was known as a mountaineer and a professionally skilled fighter which earned him the nickname Bloody Arm, and he made his living as a fur trader, but was apprenticed as a blacksmith during his earlier years of life. He was born in April of 1798 to an American Indian mother and a white father. Rumor says that his father was his slave master that later freed him from slavery during his childhood in 1824. But what's not a rumor was the fact that he became the chief of the Crow Nation of Indians just a few years later, while respectively leading the Dog Clan for many years. He also married the daughter of another Crow chief prior to leaving her behind in order to volunteer with the United States Army to fight in the Second Seminole War in Florida in 1837. He details more about his life in his book, which was published nearly 20 years later in 1856, called The Life and Adventures of James P. Beckwourth, Mountaineer, Scout, and Pioneer, and Chief of the Crow Nation of Indians. Two other characters portrayed in this movie carry a rich history when it comes to the American West of the 19th century. So in this collaborative effort to present more information concerning this matter, I asked Texas' very own Chief Topcatz to join me in presenting their background stories to you.
The gold I here goes to just on it.
Contrary to popular belief, slavery didn't arrive in Texas until 1822 with Moses Austin, succeeded by his son Stephen F. Austin, who would grant land to new settlers. They would become known as the Old 300. They would bribe and lobby politicians for legal slavery in Texas. It would be short-lived, as in 1829, Mexico's first black president, Vicente Guerrero, would outlaw slavery. A year later, it would be murdered. The new laws would attract many migrations to the state of Texas, and in 1836, the Battle of the Alamo. June 19, 1865, Galveston, Texas Major General Gordon Granger of the Union Army announced General Order No. 3. Slavery in the state of Texas had officially come to an end. After the Civil War, there was a growing demand for beef in the East. They would look to Texas for remedy. This would produce the cattle boom. From Texas into Kansas, famous Indian trails would blaze the path, such as the Chisholm Trail. One of the towns along the trail is an old Indian town, Pecos, Texas. It would produce the world's first rodeo on July the 4th, 1883. Rodeos were the Cowboys' Olympics. Skilled cattlemen would compete for bragging rights. Today, rodeo is the official sport of Texas. December the 5th, 1870, Willie Pickett was born. The second of 13 children to Thomas Jefferson Pickett and Miss Janie Mary Gilbert. The family were Cherokee Indians. From a small town in central Texas at the age of 5, Bill would develop the love for the culture. While working as a rancher, he developed a skill that would take him across the country and into American history, bulldogs. Cattlemen would steal the cattle by using bulldogs to trap them. Bill noticed the bulldogs would bite down on the upper lip of the bull, a technique that Bill would master as he would take the bull down by the steers. At the age of 18, he and his brothers would establish the Pickett Brothers, Bronco Busters, and Rough Riders Association. Everything cowboy, they had it. The cowboy lifestyle crossed them paths with rancher Lee Moore, who witnessed Bill's daredevil stunts. He would begin to manage Bill and also bring his brothers along. Over time, the relationship would come to an end over disputes of business and money. In 1903, he met a hustler's hustler, Dave McClure, aka Mr. Cowboy. The two would take the rodeo world by storm cross country. Mr. Cowboy coined Bill the name the Dusky Demon. March 1905, Fort Worth, Texas. At the North Central Texas Cattle and Railroad Center, every cowboy that was somebody would be there. He would put on the performance of his life. He would get a standing ovation from the crowd. One of the witnesses there to see the phenomenon was a gentleman from Bliss, Oklahoma, who took notice, Colonel Zach Miller, owner of the 101 Ranch, Wild Wild West show. Bill would join the ranks of Buffalo Bill Cody, Tom Mix, Will Rogers, and others. He would tour the world in even motion pictures. The legendary cowboy days would come to an end. April 2nd, 1932. He would die from head injuries after being kicked by a horse. His legacy lives on today, and the horse and cowboys and rodeos all over. Willie Bill Pickett, a.k.a. Dusty Dane, Cherokee cowboy, legend of the Wild Wild West. 19th century. We close a chapter in American history of immigration, naturalization, colonialism, government, domestic enslavement, and wars, which ushered in the Second Great Awakening, Industrial Revolution, and U.S. expansion, from the 13 colonies into the ancient ancestral lands of the Southeast Indians. The fighting spirit, music, fishing, barbecue, soul food, cattle, livestock, and agriculture would make up the ingredients that would birth the new era of Indians, the cowboys. From 1811 Creek Civil Wars through the Seminole Wars that were leading to the 1829 Gold Rush of Georgia that were leading to the 1830 Indian Removal Act, resulting in the displacement of the Southeast Indian tribes. The U.S. would establish themselves in the West through military force and Indian scouts, attracted by their knowledge of the land, map making, scouting, building, interpreting. These would all serve purpose across the Mississippi and what would become known as Indian Territory, aka the Wild Wild West. During the Civil War, the Militia Act of 1862 would create the USCT, United States Colored Troops. After the war, the military would close the program. And on July the 28th, 1866, the Army Reorganization Act passed. 6 units, 2 cavalry, 4 infantry regiments would form the legendary Buffalo Soldiers. The 10th Cavalry was stationed in the largest military base in Texas, Fort Concho. Racial tensions were at an all-time high in America, and there was no exception to Texas. A heated altercation breaks out in town between the Ku Klux Klan and the Buffalo Soldiers. Gunfire was exchanged, and when the smoke cleared, understanding his fate, the first sergeant, Buffalo Soldier, Civil War veteran, George Goldsby, aka William Scott, vanished, leaving behind an indigenous wife of Cherokee heritage, Mrs. Ellen Lynch, and their son Crawford Goldsby, aka Cherokee Bill, born February the 8th, 1876, at Fort Concho in San Angelo, Texas, arguably the most famous Indian outlaw in the cowboy era. Handsome, ambitious, charismatic, ladies man with one of the quickest hands in the West. Raised in the ways of Cherokee warriors and Buffalo Soldier military genius, he was a superb shot from a distance and by horseback. His outlaw lifestyle would cross paths with a Cherokee Indian who served as an ex-U.S. Marshal Scout, William Tuttle, aka the Cherokee Kid, Bill Cook, leader of the notorious Cook Gang. He and his brother Jim, Skeeter, Jess Snyder, William Ferris, Curtis Dayson, Elmer Lucas, aka Chicken, Jim French, George Sanders, Lon Gordon, Henry Munson, Sam McWilliams, aka Verdigris Kid, and Cherokee Bill. From petty crimes to bank and train robberies would lead lawmen and scouts on their trails. November the 9th, 1894, Cherokee Bill, trigger-happy ways would go too far. During a store robbery, Bill executed Ernest Miller, an eyewitness to the stick-up. With higher Indian scouts and trackers, Cherokee criminal ways, popularity, and love from the community would keep him elusive. Laying low with family and female friends, his luck will come to an end. He was sentenced to be hanged by Judge Parker, March 17, 1896. At the age of 20, Bill approached the gallows. What a good day to die, through the raging crowd, in spite of his mother. You ought to not be here. And his Cherokee mother replied, I go wherever you go. At 2:13 p.m., he dropped through the gallows. Crawford Goldsby, aka Cherokee Bill, Cherokee cowboy, legend of the Wild Wild West.
I'm just here to make you think.
Okay. Wow. Let me put this back on. All right. We doing it like that.
Yeah, 24 hours, Rich, same day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same day. Send it back to him. Same day.
Fire.
Yeah, it worked.
Fire. I know y'all was I know y'all if you couldn't hear it that good, rewind it turn your volume up, put headphones on, do what you got to do. But that was absolutely amazing. So yeah, you can rewind it, put some headphones on. I got my headphones on, it was perfectly fine. So just rewind it, put some headphones on, and because it's definitely amazing. You got to hear every word of that right there.
Hey, Rich, what you say? I'm you one of your moves.
Oh man, there you go.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Yeah. Dane, let me ask you this, Dane. What do you think about, with everything you know about our history, what do you think about the whole reparations movement?
We deserve reparations, but the government is not going to admit to their wrongdoing. Historically, they're never going to admit to their wrongdoing. Are we owed things? Yeah, we're owed more than just money. This is the land. I mean, isn't that what got these foreigners coming over here in the first place? We should be looking into that more so than money, because the land creates the money. Think about it. You grow trees on land. Chop trees down, make the paper. Paper make the money. All they doing is scanning and reprinting. It's way more important than some dollar bill that holds no value. It's about this land mass. Once they realize what this fight is about, they'll realize that we, owe more to some form of reparations or form of restitution. Then we could be having a different talk.
Dane, since you're able to spot out with so many inconsistencies with what they tell us in history, the idea that we're 13% of the population, do you think there's truth in that, or do you think that that's a bold-faced lie?
It is a bald-faced lie, and this is the reason why I use it against them. If you notice, it's going to be people inside of the chat that was stating the number 13. They saying 13%. I'm not even looking at the chat, and I guarantee that was already happened. The reason why is because I purposely use it against them. They don't like that number 13 because it has all to do with representing us. I'll go into that in another time, another segment. We could get into that. It's a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual connection. But yeah, we're much larger than that. We're the majority right now. I mean, we even had Joe Biden during his last term admitting, that the whites are becoming the minority. This is another reason why they kept those borders open, because they're manipulating the numbers. Anybody coming over here being labeled white on purpose.
It's been like that for a while.
Years.
Yeah, that Caucasian on their birth certificate.
A lot of Hispanics are labeled white.
There you go.
Correct.
A lot of Hispanics, yeah.
Them Africans too. Africans are labeled white. See, if you take a look at their nationality IDs, when they say they got dual citizenship, guaranteed they got white on there.
Yeah, that's a fact.
What do you think about people, Dane, going to Africa, the whole Ghana thing, the return? I forget what it's called, but Ghana saying they want African Americans to come back and to get dual citizenship.
You want to start some shit? That's what's going on.
Hey man,
you want to start some shit? That's what's going on. You know how I'm gonna come back there.
Dang,
it ain't too many people going, and those that come don't always. I mean, those that go don't always stay, because they always coming right back. Once they realize that them folk ain't their folk, they coming right back. They like, oh, you're an American. Oh, come over here. And then all of a sudden you realize you're getting robbed and, your purse is getting snatched. You coming right back. They don't care where you came from. You ain't their blood. You ain't their kind. They like, all right, yeah, come on, fit right in so they could use you. That's all that is. It's about survival of the fittest. Who going to be the fittest in that territory? It sure ain't going to be no foreigner. But it's unfortunately, it's unfortunate rather that that's happening, but yeah, I mean, of course, Ghana want people to come over there so they can have more money. That's all that is. Those people are suffering over there. They're not really enjoying life like that.
Tourist attraction, like you said earlier. It's a tourist attraction.
Yeah, tourist. That's number one. There you go. There go the money.
One of the things that they don't bring up. So if we go back to these companies, and I think that's one of the part we'll look at people. But they were actually companies. So you had a Virginia company, you got the Roanoke company, you got the Royal African Company. The Royal African Company once they took over all Dutch occupations, New York would be one. 1664, it'll be named New York. Well, they got Charleston, 1670, Port Royal, going out of Beaufort. Then you got Port Royal in Jamaica, and then you have Cape Coastal in these different places off the coast in West Africa. Now, what happened with that later was it turned into Anamabu port because they ran out of money, but it changes over to Anamabu. But what we don't, a lot of people don't know is that a lot of people from New Hampshire, Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts played a great role in those colonies. That's why they didn't deal with the interior part, just the coastal areas. And that's what, and they had their walls around it, and they bred in a new group of people called Euro Africans, meaning, women who had bore children with either these Americans or these Europeans, and they call Euro Africans.
Indeed. When we talk about Africa, a lot of people think about the natural resources, and when they use the term motherland, a lot of people see how much America and other countries exploit Africa and the natural resources that are in Africa to benefit the rest of the world. What would you say is something in America that a person would say, damn, America got this, America is got to be something about America because they produce this or they produce that? Because a lot of people point to things that Africa produced that they say the whole world benefits from. What does America produce that you can say the whole world benefit from that makes us who we are, as important as we are?
I strongly suggest that people pick up the book called The Encyclopedia of the American Indian World. It details a lot of the things that they copy from us. That's not the only book. This is the land of milk and honey. Of course, we had the resources first. Before tobacco, there was rice. Then there was corn. A lot of these people survived based off of, the resources that we had over here. We could go that route as far as technology, with certain things as dealing with Africa, but that's recent. We talking about in the past. They wasn't dependent on Africa back then. Like that stuff is recent, and of course they just stealing it for them Africans anyway. They ain't getting paid. Name an African billionaire that's getting paid off of that.
Well, now we got Burkina Faso, so we'll say that they with Toure in there, he has eliminated the French and able to benefit from the natural resources under them, and they're bringing in a new form of sovereignty because the money they were making from the French, they're quadrupling that, and they're making it off their back. But what I would say is this: far as the contributions made, this screen that we talking to each other on, the computers created by people in America, electricity, stoplights, a stove,
cell phone.
That's civilization.
Yeah, we can
qualify civilization. Whether it be refrigerators, whether it be cars, whether it be planes. These things here are used all around the world universally, and they all come from models or blueprints of our civilization here. The Columbia Exchange would be a great one to bring out because through the Columbia Exchange, we fed the world, we healed the world. When Scotland was having the famine, potato famine, things like that, they looked to us. A lot of them was brought over here, medicine, herbs, these things were put out. Now the Royal Geographical Society and Joseph Banks and them came and started renaming things. But yeah, what did we bring to the world? Man, everything, that a sidewalk, a stop sign, a
The
stop.
vehicles.
Yeah, anything that contributes to civilization, it came from America. Now, as we talking about African resources, that is a story that was told us because if we go inside the Raw African Company, which is the company that's supposedly running the slave trade, well, they didn't find any gold. They wanted to scratch the project in Africa because Spain was super rich, the Portuguese got super rich off of the Latin Americas, and you had the Germans, the Swiss, the Sephardians, and different people getting rich off of the resources coming out of the North America. Africa at that time, they didn't find any gold. The story they tell it is because Mansa Musa took it all, but Mansa Musa is a recent fictional character that was created in the 20th century. But secondly, what they said in it, they didn't find it. Even their maps were incorrect. That post made.
Right.
Yeah, the maps were incorrect. Even when they came back with the correct maps, they still were wrong. They were named the Gum Coast, the Rice Coast. There's no tribe will be named the Rice people or the you feel me the Gold people. That does so they didn't have enough information on it. So far as what we see today with the cobalt and different things like that, that'll be modern time. We
That's
know
why I said modern. Yeah.
exactly. We know they use like Firestone, they use them for the rubber, indented servants for the rubber, and that actually caused a big that caused a lot of attention. But they still do it to this day. Even the children mined in the Congo, they're mined precious resources, child slave labor, and they're not benefiting. But there's no comparison to no one. They can put all their contributions in the world, every country, and put their contributions together, and it won't be 25% of what we brought.
If that.
And that's been generous.
Yeah, he being generous. He being modest.
That's being generous. No, I mean, like if we was just to really get on some shitting and go and take the African American inventors and put everything on the screen, you'd be like, yo, what the fuck? That's a whole life. That's a whole existence, damn near. So I mean, yeah, it's quite interesting when I hear that type of answer. Basically, America produced us. You know what I'm saying? Would be like so. Let me.
If it wasn't for us, it would be no them.
Exactly. Wow. And I say this before we leave that, Rich. A lot of that's why they moved. That's why they tried to make the connection between Kemet. That's why Kemet became so popular because they don't have free energy buildings in Africa, West Africa. They don't have pyramids. They don't have anything that shows pre-existent civilization out there that was supreme. There's nothing there that
had everybody looking in North Africa.
There's nothing there that says that a civilization was here. There's no king list. There's none of this. They can't name a war, famous battles. They can't name famous kings or any of these things. A lot of this was started in the 1700s, but I did want to point that out that there's no, so they had us look to Egypt, and we seen people shout out to even our brother Infidisi, he was a part of a team where they wanted to use the metadata to say that West African words came from the, or in the metadata, which is so far from true because before the arrival of the European, the West Africans was writing in the Jami script, which is Arabic. And so a lot of them were Muslims and they were,
where they from?
Faith. They didn't become Christian to learn about Jesus until the 1841 was called the Niger Expedition. So very recent, and their first gospel song didn't drop until 1933, and that was coming from the influence from America, I would just say.
Indeed. Dane, so much talk on the internet I mean, so much talk, TikTok, Instagram. And I remember saying in my mind one day, I wonder what Dane thinks about this. Because I know I seen some of your videos before. And I remember saying, I wonder what Dane thinks about this. So now that I got you on here, what's the deal with the Grand Canyon and all the talk about the Grand Canyon and Kemet, since legendary Topcatz just mentioned Kemet being connected to the Grand Canyon. What's the deal with what's Grand Canyon?
Because there are pyramids there.
Now hold on, Rich. Now you know this is one of Dane's favorite places. You know.
I'm ready.
Okay, now we on. Okay.
I'm ready. Dang,
Why are they saying that this is connected to Kemet?
I believe there was hieroglyphs found there.
You know,
so it's connected to Kemet because of the hieroglyphs?
Well, hey, listen.
Wow, talk to him.
Listen, Dane, talk to where's the hieroglyphs not talk to me about the hieroglyphs too.
Oh no, the hieroglyphs are real. I'm not saying anything of that nature. I don't want people to get it misconstrued, but a lot of the things that you see in Kemet, we influenced them. Is way more pyramids out here in America, or what they will call pyramids out here in America, that predates Kemet's existence. Don't forget that Kemet was man-made. Okay, and so was the Grand Canyon. But look at Grand Canyon compared to Kemet. Are you climbing up mountains? Okay, it's a big difference. You talking about who were those people that created the Grand Canyon? We talking about caves. We're talking about things that, in a spiritual sense, they're trying to hide from you. There's some areas of the Grand Canyon that the government blocked off, and they have the U.S. Army there protecting that area from tourists. People that want to go see it. I believe that they're hiding, my personal opinion, I believe that they're hiding means of transportation, in which I'm going to be getting into in the doc that I want to play for you if we have time, so you can understand what the means of transportation is about. Some people would call it portals.
Hey, let's put that down. Hold up. Topcatz, hold up, Dane. Put that on now, Dane. Come on, put that on.
Put it on now.
Yeah, let me see that. Dane.
Okay, now the reason why this is just a speck of it, what I'm referring to warm people up into what that means, because a means of transportation was also done by way of the the UK. It's called the Bloody Code. That was also a sentencing that they placed upon their own people. This is the reason why you saw a lot of the orphans were being kidnapped and imported inside of the slave trade. The slave trade was about children, really. Okay, orphans. Like you have Oliver Twist, the book and the movie, and you have Fiddler on the Roof. Fiddler on the Roof is a book and a movie. They're talking about what happened in the UK. But their sentencing was a means of transportation. They are expelling you from your motherland. But that's just the introduction, because as far as the Grand Canyon is concerned, we had means of transportation more so than just trains inside of caves. We're familiar with different areas that will take us to different areas of this world.
About this underground.
Let's go. Dane, put that on. Let's give us a little sneak peek.
Now this one, the reason why I brought that in is because this particular one is not going to go that route. Okay, it's not going to go the Grand Canyon route. I'm referring to the differences between American Indians and Native Americans.
Okay.
And these, it's going off of the topic that, what we titled this for. And it's two parts. So I don't know, one is, I can tell you right now, I'm being honest, these are pretty lengthy. One is, 21 minutes long. And the other one is 25 minutes long.
Well, we get to the peak. Just
I thought he had something on the Grand Canyon. That's why I was saying.
I do, but not right at this moment. But I could just say boom and just play it.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going to go there,
No, I definitely. We'll save that for the next show.
Okay.
For the next show, because I definitely. But is there anything else you could elaborate on? Because this is what I've heard, Dane. This is what I've heard. that you could go from the Grand Canyon to Africa.
To Africa.
You
Yeah,
can
I've seen
travel.
it
You
on
can
TikTok.
travel to different parts. And that's what they're hiding. That I believe that's what they're protecting. I mean, correction. That's what they're hiding from the people, and they have on grounds. I went there, by the way. I traveled there I think it was 3 times already. One time it was for my birthday, and you know they surprised me. But the second time I came with my drone. Let me tell you how serious this is. I have a military grade drone.
Yep.
And my military grade drone, you know, this was before they had before Topcatz came. This is before they had signs. I'm talking about to the Grand Canyon because he went there as well. This is before they had signs telling folks that they can't fly drones, they can't have cameras. I was there before that happened, and I took my drone. We were there. I'm flying around, and you know my drone was doing well. Then all of a sudden, send back, and I'm like, what? What's going on? And it's glitching like how my camera is doing now. By the way, y'all, this is an old camera of mine. I'm gonna come back with my new camera. I didn't have it set up correctly. Y'all could get on me about that in the comments later, but that's what it was doing. The same way that camera's glitching right now was glitching on my screen, and I'm talking about my control unit. Man, I hit the button in order for it to come home. And when I mean come home, what I mean by that is it's returning back to me. So I grabbed it because they were threatening to shoot it down. It was saying that it was being targeted. And I was like, damn, what the hell is that? You know, like, why is that happening? Soon as that drone came back, they pulled up in big trucks. They were deep. The whole, like, this was straight military people. Like, what are you doing? You know, luckily I had folks with me because I wasn't by myself, but I was like, you know, damn, so I can't record over here? Is there a problem? Now, keep in mind, this is not too far away from a reservation as well. But they didn't even use that as the excuse. They could have told me, no, you too close. You can't fly. This is a no-fly zone because of the reservation is nearby. You know, I'm like, no, they just straight up told me, no, these are off limits. These are restricted areas. I'm like, but I mean, there's no signs up. Like, what you mean? Like, so I can't fly there? Like, how am I supposed to know that? You're not telling me by way of a map. I even have a license to fly this drone. They said, no, you can't do that. If we see it up there again, we dropping it down, you getting arrested. We got up out of there.
Damn.
You know what I mean? But I knew it was something up, you know, and I tried to capture that on screen. But I do have footage, and I've been holding on to it, you know, of what I did capture. I didn't put that online yet because I'm working on a whole segment behind that because I did capture some things and it looked a little iffy.
Wow.
Yeah. Military base. Soon as I got out, I said something happened here. And you know what it made me think about? Billy Carson. I seen one of his lectures and he said that a catastrophic event took place.
Right.
And it decimated a lot of places. Now, when you go out there, a lot of places are old, but you can feel how old they are. Like coming out of Red Rock, Utah. I spent a lot of time in Utah. Arizona, seeing these things, and you can tell these are old places. And I like to watch a lot of older movies, you know, that take you back in before medieval time, where they talked about giants, where they talked about you know, these reptilians, you know, y'all familiar with the saying, the old gods and the new ones. Well, the demigods and these things. I do believe that was that time period. You know what I mean? You'll catch it in some movies where they speak about it, like in Alexander, the movie Alexander, different things of this nature. But yeah, when I got out there, you can't grow anything in the ground. You can't raise cattle there because the ground doesn't produce anything. So first thing I thought was something happened. And the cops stop you. When you pull up, they have a whole barricade right there. And they come up. You got any guns, alcohol, drones in the car. Yeah, before you even get to park. And then when you park, you get a ticket. They put you on a bus and they drive you to the area. You can't just get out and walk freely. No, they're going to drive.
It wasn't like that.
Where they want you to go. So it's very controlled, and we got to remember that's near New Mexico, where you have Area 51.
Yeah,
and these different places. So there's definitely portals down there and like you said, they use the Native Americans the sense of reservation that'll keep us off. Like I have footage from Florida, but I can't show it because I'm on a reservation and they have signs, so you can't show it, but I have the footage. But yeah, that's something that I caught when I got there, and I'm like, something happened here. But I thought about what Billy said, a catastrophic event happened to whereas nothing grows from the land, cattle can't even live off the land, and the people can't be agriculturalists on the land, so it'll be impossible to build a civilization. So it had to be something older, and the wars of the heavens. Bobby Hemming and them spoke about.
I think it's the frequency.
It actually took place.
I really do think it has something to do with the frequency there, because you do feel it. Like as soon as you step out, you feel that something is wrong. You feel something is off. You just don't know what it is. But I was intrigued because of how it looked. I'm like, well, if this was man-made, then that person had to have been like 10, 12 feet tall. I'm like, it's certain areas where it was it's like I couldn't fathom how that was going to be created by man. I'm like, okay, I would love to see that, what's going on here. But they got a lot of stuff blocked off. And, sometimes they make you go to certain areas by trains. But that was before they, like he said, they pick you up and take you to certain areas. I was there before they had that type of restriction. And I can assume, that's probably why they did that, because people got more nosier and nosier once they began noticing, hey, this is an area full of portals. We can't, we got to look into that. Yeah. And to go back up to the area 51 and 52. That's why they thought about area 52. They like, wait a minute. That's one that's above ground instead of under. I'm like, man, let me look at this stuff. Like, what's going on? Like, something's over there. But yeah, the military got control over it. So that's the government. National Park Service, they all on that.
Rich, let me ask you this here. Was you going here with the conversation about time machines? So if y'all familiar with this film, it's a series called what's the name of that series, man? Where the family, and it's a white family, they want their powers.
Well, and Back to the Future?
No, it's a new one. Lovecraft Country.
Okay.
You heard of that one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they talk about science of time traveling there in portals. And and they're using the melanated it's a white family who's rich, using the melanated people too, because they're the only ones that can process, they can open the gates to it. Yeah. And so they found them, sought them out, and wanted to use their magic and their powers in order to activate these time machines. So yeah.
What's the name of that movie again? Because I haven't seen that.
It's a series called Lovecraft Country.
A series. Yeah, okay. Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the chatter probably lace you up more. I haven't finished it, but the guy that played in the movie, just Heart of the Fall, he's in it. Yeah. Okay.
I want to ask, because I don't want to keep y'all too long tonight. And we're gonna do a part. We're gonna do a part 2, part 3, part 4.
Might as well. Might as well.
Yeah, no facts. Since you gave us a history lesson on research you found out about Harriet Tubman, Nat Turner, things like that, what can you tell me, Dane, according to your research? Because we're talking about American Indians versus Native Americans. This story that we was all taught when we was young about Pocahontas. What can you tell us about Pocahontas?
It's incorrect. It's incorrect. And all of, that's the reason why they're using it against you. And Disney taking control over that name.
Right.
But that's Chief Powhatan's daughter. I'm going to be going into that in January in full detail, both stories, so you could get the real deal. But yeah, they told us incorrectly. We found out John Rolfe, John Smith. We got all of his stuff, but we needed to know who Pocahontas was really about. We need to see if that actually took place, because they were trying to make a mockery of Chief Powhatan, and we had to stop that, like to figure out why they were doing that, why they were literally trying to dangle somebody so close to him in front of him to get him to stop fighting. But we needed to know the real story, and I got down to the nit grit. And shout out to Tanisha Calloway as well. My wife actually helped me with that as well. We both tackled that one, so that's another reason why I'm not trying to talk about that in full detail just yet. But I know we're releasing that in January. Yeah, that's in full detail, documentary and book.
Man, I can't wait. You got some stuff releasing in January. Dang, wow.
Yeah, I
love
actually have a series, 3-part series. It's called the Pocahontas Effect.
Yeah.
And I go deep into it. It's cool if I show just a look.
Yeah.
What was your question? Because you pulled it up.
I want to know what can y'all tell us about that story? I know we've been lied to. We've been fed stories in Hollywood, Disney, Marvel, all these companies on TV. And Pocahontas is something we all grew up on and heard about. So I'm like, there's got to be something behind that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll be brief. First thing I'll say is it's a lot of Freemasonicness in it. So it's called American Indian Illuminati, the Pocahontas Effect. This part 3. Right here, what we're looking at is the Order of Pocahontas. The Order of Pocahontas is a female auxiliary that's modern, that's next to the Order of Red Men. And it is a fraternal order. Despite using names based on non-native ideas about Native Americans, it was formed solely by and for white women. It's called the Degree of Pocahontas. They came out in 1850, the same time that the Eastern Stars came out. Now, this is the Order of Red Men. And it's something that I want people to know. These people are destiny swapping. So they tell us the Indians died off and all of this, but behind the scenes, this is what they're learning. They're cosplaying our culture. Not only that, you have the League of Woodcraft Indians, because I want to show that people are born into it. This was a program that utilized overseas, and many overseas programs still exist in the United States. The tribe was established in 1902. Now, they got backlash from it. Now, we heard of the Boy Scouts of America. As you see right here, the Masonic symbol. The Boy Scouts of America, they're grooming them.
Oh, man.
A part of this. And right here, the Order of Broken Arrow, which they're dressed like us. You even have the Degree of Pocahontas under the Order de Molay. De Molay was the Knights of Templar who, before they went underground. Now, I'll skip. Now, St. George is very important in this. This is a picture of him. He's a melanated man. Now, you have the church, St. George Methodist Church. That's where Richard Allen and them broke off, and the AME Church was created. We're going to circle that. But I went through the Negro societies, and I didn't find them there. So he go to Order Eastern Stars, 1850, same thing. They go somebody, big mamas and grandmas and aunties out there. They don't look enslaved to me. And they go granddaddy now. Now, right here, if we put the Order of Red Men on the side of Freemasonry, it's the same thing. You see they're using Indian pieces and everything. The oldest fraternal organization. This is their charter right here. And again, they're using pictures of Indian. How does this relate to Pocahontas? Well, when Pocahontas died, what was she said to be buried at? St. George in England. But I call it the Pocahontas effect because all first contact nations, when you go into the rotunda of in the U.S. Capitol, you have these images around. All of them symbolizes first contact. So you're gonna have the painting right here depicted William Penn and the Lenape. Right here you have John Smith getting hit over the head. you also have Pocahontas, right? This is the return of them saying Powhatan daughter, and she was named Rebecca and all that. So let me skip through all of this. Let's get through all of this. Now, who was Pocahontas? This is Powhatan, who Dane keep referencing. Now, Pocahontas is famous in the cartoon for being with John Smith. I do want to say this here. If we would have never heard of John Smith writings, we would have never heard of anyone named Pocahontas because he's the only one who wrote about her. Now, this is John Rolfe, the guy who they said actually had the baby by her. John Rolfe. And Thomas Rolfe is their son. Now, Thomas Rolfe didn't return until the age of 27. And when he came, he got all of the Powhatan's land. The last recommendation mentions that Thomas Rolfe exists in a land patent. While some sources claim that Thomas died 1680, others claim that the exact year is unknown. Some evidence purports that Thomas died in James City, Virginia. However, records of the county were destroyed in 1685 fire. Now we know about those fires.
They lied about that too. Yeah,
exactly. So let me get down to the good part. Let's skip through this here.
They were hiding something right here.
Now, who we gonna find? We're gonna find. Let me skip through all of this right here because I went into the Mayflower, all of that. So we're gonna get back to the Pocahontas. Now, look, here they go. The Society of Colonial Dames. Here they go right here. Looking like a Native American tribe. Now, this is Pocahontas County Historical, and this was given to them by the Carnegies. Now, this is the same emblem that they use, and this is the emblem. These are indigenous emblems. You see the eagle there, and you see the. So Edith Wilson, who was
Double R,
the president's wife, she went to a convention in France and told them that she was a American princess and that her family member was Pocahontas. So her name is Edith Bolden. Why is this important? Because the Bolden family is going to take over this story. Now, so here's Thomas Rolfe. We're going to pass through there. Now we have the records. A lot of people say they come in through Matoka, which they say is Pocahontas' daughter that she had before. We have to understand Pocahontas was 12, 13 years old, the same way they do about Jesus when Jesus left 13. Same story. Now, this book, they actually have a book out right here, The Building the Family Descendants of Pocahontas, of everyone who would be attached to that bloodline. What I want people to know is that they're only going by the European side. It's nothing Indian about this. So the Bolden family will have more authority in this. And if you're not in this book, then you're not considered it. Here's another book about the descendants. So I went into deep research. Now they come with the science, and they tell us that Pocahontas' wedding chapel was found. Come on, man. And then they come back.
That's the Pocahontas Foundation, by the way, y'all. If y'all look up Pocahontas Foundation, you're gonna see that they did this.
And right here, it say the oldest church in America with Pocahontas married John Rolfe. Again, this is for tourism, and this is anthropology of science, trying to take over. Now, what's interesting is that the bones of Pocahontas, we have Wayne Newton, who was told he was a descendant of Pocahontas. So he used his money to try to go back and have the bones brought from England and brought over to America, which he was unsuccessful. Why? Because they couldn't find it. Even in the New York Times, 1907, the bones of Pocahontas, they were looking for it. And they found out that the church where Pocahontas was buried was destroyed by fire. So much interest to find, it suggested that the bones might be of Pocahontas. The skeleton was submitted to experts, however, were unable to arrive at any definite conclusion. Now, you even had Carnegie jump into it. A lot of people put a
Of
lot of
course.
money in it, saying, well, she's an American hero. We want her brought back. Well, the church said they don't know which burial plot will be hers. Now, this picture went around, was a famous picture, and this paint was believed to be Pocahontas and Thomas. Now, what's crazy is the family that controls the bloodline or the story, this story, actually housed this in their house and found out that this picture was fake. So Ryan Flager of the Historical Society traveled to King's Lynn Museum in England, where he was able to properly identify the paint and confirm its true historical significance. Now we come back and find out that it was fake. Now here go the Rowe family in Europe. They bought it years ago in America. The paint was sold as the portrait of the ancestors of Pocahontas and her son. Now they had to come back and tell you that it is undeniable based off the portrait depicted in the oil paint, but instead Pocahontas, the portrait described in the magazine, as the wife and child of Osceola. Well, that's my ancestor, you know. So now they say it's not Pocahontas no more. But the family who controls the story and narrative behind Pocahontas had a fake painting up. And so to prove that wasn't Osceola, right here, they came to Osceola and said that his wife was actually a runaway. A guy came and said his wife ran away, she was a runaway slave, and Osceola went back and unalived him. So his wife was looking like us. You know, let me get to the good part. Now here go Thomas Sutherland had this paint hung in the governor mansion in Richmond during George Allen's term in Virginia, 1993 to 95. This is recent. And then they found out that the paint was fake. Now, it portrays a Europeanized Pocahontas wearing a pearl necklace. Now, they say this necklace gave to her by her dad. Now these earrings went on sale. They say these Pocahontas earrings, rich, they going for $500 million.
Damn.
It's all about money.
This story, yeah. How far would they go to make the story real? Now we take this picture, which they're gonna say is Pocahontas. Well, this is Lady Frances. Okay, now this is This is Frances, Duchess of Somerset. Now we put her on side of the picture of Pocahontas. This Pocahontas on the left, and this is Lady Frances.
They did the same thing with Nat Turner, by the way.
You see the same design, and not only that, but it was painted by the same author. Ain't that painted by the same author? There's a closer look. Okay, now where it gets interesting, because people say, well, I'm not kin on this side, I'm kin to her off Matoka, off her Indian line. Well, a guy named Little Bear Cuslam, a YT man, he comes in and they're gonna write a book. The first time we ever hear about this, the Mattapony people, the Pamunkey, and right here is their records, HR 5073, of them trying to get Chickahominy, Mattapony, Pamunkey, the Rappahannock, and Monacan, Nassaman. They wanted to get federal recognition, so they went to court. Now the court came back and said that in 1840s that the Pamunkeys were no longer Indians. They didn't consider them as Indians. That's why they didn't get their
recognition.
Recognition. Yeah, my bad. I was looking for the point. And so it speaks about the Middle Plantation in 1677, where the treaty was signed, and by Kagakuski, who after the Bacon's Rebellion, she was gone. So the Gregory pension alleged that the Pamunkey and Mattapony were no longer Indians. This effort removed the Mattapony and Pamunkey from those lands and defeated. Why they say that? Because it was a battle that took place called the Battle of Bloody Run. And after that, these are Europeans cosplaying because they were able to move relocate those other tribes. They relocated, and the people that stayed claimed that and that recognition, and the government came back in 1843 and took it down. Now I'm gonna get to the good part, and we're finna get out of here. So that's the Battle of Bloody Run that I was talking about. If y'all want to look it up, this is Toto. He's the chief right here. And not only that, but he was an Englishman who immigrated to Virginia in 1653, engaged in some land transaction, and vanished from the records, leaving no descendants. But he became the chief of the Powhatan, and he wasn't even from there. He was a European. So we'll get past this, the good part, and this is them getting their federal recognition right here. If you look, these are the Pamunkey tribe back here, all these YT people. And they just got their recognition 2015. But they're supposed to be the first tribe to have contact with the English. Now, when we get to the Indian side, they wrote us the story of Pocahontas. I'm finna land on this. This is Little Bear Cuslow. Now, he said that his family couldn't tell their side of the story. He said, I needed people to know our oral history has been hidden for so long. People look through our cultural lens of history. He said, now is the time for them to tell their story. What he's not telling is that let me go back up here and I'm going to get back to it. The government appointed 7 people to run the tribe who were not of Indian lineage. And that's how this guy's going to come. So we don't hear, now he's coming saying he's kin to Pocahontas through her daughter. Now, this is his family right here, and they dressed up YT people. But in their story is different. She was kidnapped, and they ran a train on her. They didn't know who the baby was. That's what they told us. But in actuality, just like Jesus, at the age of 12, like Jesus became son-in-law. That's no different than Pocahontas. At the age of 12, she was a child of 12 or 13 years old. No different than Jesus. Between what age? 12 and 13. She also is Esther from the Bible. Same story. Now, when we get to Powhatan, it gets deeper. This is Freemasonry. This is what I wanted to show. So we're familiar with the Baphomet. Shout out Bobby Hemmett. This is George Washington. And in the middle, this is Chief Powhatan. So this was an initiation of, so they call Pocahontas the mother of us all, meaning the indigenous people here and the European mixing. And the children of them will be the mother of us all. But I'm showing that it was a ritual. It is not the Europeans coming to take from us, but they're going to actually be initiated in here, and as we'll see. Now, we have ceremonies that was already practiced here for us, Freemasonry. And so you had the Iroquois, the Seneca.
Skull and Bones.
They had what was called, you had a guy named, it's the same as Hiram Abiff. But in the indigenous story, the guy named is Red Hand. He refused to divulge the secrets, so he was scalped. Now, same thing with Hiram Abiff. He didn't want to give up the knowledge. So right here we see the Baphomet, we see the Templars at the bottom, but right here we see Chief Powhatan. It's the same symbol. You got the X right here, the cross.
Wow.
Chief Powhatan. It gets a little deeper because right here, here's Powhatan. This is John Smith laying down. And if we look over in the Masonic world right here, Hiram Abiff, it's the same thing. He's laying down. You see they had a weapon joint on them. No different than here. So this is a Masonic ritual initiation. So they didn't come by force because they weren't the aggressors and it wasn't their idea. They wasn't running it. So yeah, this is a Masonic secret and initiation that took place. And Pocahontas is used in this as character to illustrate point. You know what I mean? And yeah, and that point will be, the initiation of masonry. So we look at Scottish Rite Freemasonry and put it on side of American Indian Freemasonry, it's almost identical. Albert Pike, who actually came later, who added 20, he took 20 lessons from the Indians, 20 degrees, and added them to Scottish Rite and added on and created a new form of Scottish Rite. But that wasn't until he got down into Indian territory and he used their masonry and added it on to the Scottish Rite. Yeah, but the Pocahontas story is an initiation, a Masonic initiation.
Yo, I did not expect that answer to be that thorough. I did not expect that answer. And when Dane comes out with his documentary in January,
it's pretty. Let me hold on. Let me show you something now. Real quick. I'm not gonna be long. This gonna be real quick.
Yeah.
Hold on. Really quick.
This is thorough, yo. Make sure y'all hit that like button. This is thorough, y'all. I see why y'all wanted this to happen. I can see why y'all wanted this to happen. This is thorough tonight, y'all.
Hey, and wait till they get Chief Pontiac with us. They get that three-headed dragon.
Man.
Wait till that three-headed dragon come get them.
Now, I'm like, okay, this goes back. Now, I'm sharing one of my documentaries that's on YouTube because I don't have it downloaded to pull this up. But this is a temple. The symbol that you're seeing right now is called Kawasa. This is something that was worshipped in Virginia, in the same area that we're referring to. This is a depiction of Kawasa. This is a depiction of Kawasa that was put inside of a book by the name of America by John Ogilvy. I forgot which page it is. Actually, I believe it was the page number is at the top of the photo itself. Hold up. Let me see. But it's the reason why. Okay, there it is. This is it. This is the name of the book. America being the latest and most accurate description of the New World. That's the name of the book. Now, they do have this book inside of a glass case that you could view. I believe you're going to have to call them. It's been a while since I've seen their rules and regulations. I believe you're going to have to call them to set an appointment. If not, just walk in and let them know, in Washington, D.C., hey, you want to take a look at this, Library of Congress. But, okay, so the reason why I pointed this out is because this book, there it is. And see how it says Virginia, page 139? The reason why I pointed this out is because I wanted to skip up to that same, is you're going to notice the same thing. They did it here. They changed. Hold up. Can I just play it real quick? Can I play it? Because I'm skipping up and it's messing up. You mind if I play it?
Yeah, brother. Yeah, yeah.
So now what I want to point out to you next is how this.
No volume.
Yeah, the volume disappeared.
Y'all can hear this, right? Everything good?
The volume disappeared. I don't hear
it. You said you can?
No, I cannot. I cannot hear it. The volume disappeared.
Hold up. Let me make sure. Hold on. I got to reshare because I believe I was doing it without the audio.
Okay.
Hey, while he doing that, y'all hit the like button. Hit the like button. It be crazy how many people see the show, and then we look at the likes. Sometimes y'all don't even have Bro Rich over 1,000 likes, and this is the empire, man. This brother been doing this, so he done dedicated his life. Do y'all know Rich's story? Rich had the opportunity to go work for the city and make good money, man. I think it was the trains. He had the opportunity to go do something else with his life, but he chose to give it to y'all. Please don't let that go in vain. Please do not let that decision that he made, you know what I mean, to pour into his people now. to dedicate his life to his people now. Don't let him go in vain. You know, hit the like button. You know, I pass by and I don't even like this. Ain't even my channel, but I don't even like that. You know, I don't appreciate that. This man had opportunity to go do something else with his life, but he dedicated his life to y'all. So, you know, don't let that go in vain.
Appreciate it, Top. Appreciate it, Topcatz. Appreciate it.
Y'all can hear me now though, right?
Yeah, we hear you. Yep.
Let me know if you can hear this. So now, what I want to point out to
you,
y'all can hear that?
It's low, but I can hear it. I'm good.
It's low?
Yeah.
Is there a way where you could turn it up on your end, on your side, like with the feedback that's coming in?
Like we'll hear the beginning, but then when it get to a certain point, we don't hear nothing.
Yeah, on my end, it is.
Yeah, because I got everything turned up.
Yeah, on my end. Let me just double check. On my end, that's as loud as I could turn it. I got it up, or let me see, remote mute screen audio.
I'm gonna go ahead because I know we taking the time. I'm gonna go ahead and play it though.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Next is how deceitful American history can be when it comes to official historical accounts of already existing unmolested primary sources. And here's what I mean by that. For example, as of May 13th, 2015, the Virginia Historical Society claims that, quote, in 1671, the Amsterdam printer Jacob Moores published America by Arnoldus Montanus, a compilation in Dutch of historical accounts from North and South America. Montanus was a Jesuit and apparently sought illustrations that emphasized the non-Christian, heathen character of Native American religion. To that end, the unnamed artist for the book invented a Virginia scene that borrowed from images of Mexican Indian practice. This concocted scene was in turn copied by other artists. End quote. Now, some of this is correct, but there are also lots of errors made here concerning their narrow light claims. First of all, Arnoldus Montanus is in fact not the author of this book. He was the cartographer, which is the person responsible for drawing the maps inside of the book. Yes, he was a Jesuit, but that doesn't mean that he was the person responsible for choosing the images used inside of this book. And if the Virginia Historical Society wasn't so lazy at researching, they would have discovered the illustrator's name of these images, who I mentioned earlier as being John White, instead of jumping to their own assumptions, which are royally inaccurate. Or maybe you out there concur with the saying, all things happen for a reason. Yeah, they did it on purpose. You about to see. The story was told this way intentionally. And this is going to piggyback onto what Topcatz was just saying. You ask some questions. Like, why would the Virginia Historical Society claim that since Montanus was a Jesuit, that he would, quote, apparently sought illustrations that emphasized the non-Christian heathen character of Native American religion, when he wasn't even the illustrator of the image to begin with? And why would the Virginia Historical Society claim that the artist of these images is unnamed, meaning that they don't know his name or anything about him, but then proceed to give their opinions of this same artist as if they now know him by claiming that he, quote, borrowed from images of Mexican Indian practice? Is there really such a thing called a Mexican Indian practice, when the majority of the so-called Mexicans were historically followers of the Catholic Christian practice? The reason why they don't want you to look into the artists is because you will discover what really happened, which was that other artists were later hired to reproduce counterfeit images with European influence of some of these prominent images of North and South American cultures, along with their inhabitants. Just like Pocahontas. According to the New York Public Library, the title of this image read as King Powhatan, which is in fact misspelled here by the author, but you'll find that these types of errors are a common thing to happen, especially when dealing with foreigners writing our They calling this image anyway. King Powhatan, by the way.
Where the Virginia Historical Society claims in 2015 that White borrowed from images of Mexican Indian practice, they are referring to the large statue-like figure you see here, smoking from a large pipe in ceremony, which is an actual representation of the spiritual guardian known as Kawasa by the indigenous Algonquin-speaking people located throughout the southernmost regions of North America, like Virginia, Maryland, and the Carolinas, just to name a few. But prior to this 1590 watercolor painting by John White being borrowed for the use of John Ogilvy's book in 1671, it was also borrowed but fraudulently reproduced by engraver and publisher Theodore DeBry to look like this, with the release of a book that he published for author Thomas Harriot during the year 1590. Indeed, there's something wrong with this image, all the way down to the German text utilized surrounding the image itself. This engraving is being held right now by the Art Museums of Colonial Williamsburg in the state of Virginia. And what's essential to note here is that according to the Art Museums of Colonial Williamsburg itself, quote, the plate, which was engraved by Flemish engraver and publisher Theodore DeBry, depicts a Europeanized version of Carolina Algonquins based on the watercolors by John White and using the written descriptions by Thomas Harriot. In 1590, DeBry published Harriot's texts with engravings based on White's watercolors in a book entitled A Brief and True Report of the Newfound Land of Virginia, which was published in English, French, German, and Latin. The book provides the first printed English record of Sir Walter Raleigh's attempts to plant a colony in the New World. Although described in the title as Virginia, it delineates the region between the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay and Cape Lookout, North Carolina. He writes, quote, the inhabitants of this region have an idol called Kawasa, wrought from a wooden trunk, 4 feet high. This idol was
Look how they put it in front of you.
Of the town of Sakota as the guardian of the royal corpse. End quote. Also, let me clarify that this image does not depict that our ancestors were worshiping this large figure, but more so paying respects to it. In fact, John White created the majority of his images with small and large people in size to indicate that the larger figure is a living person.
Look, skull and bones in the back. Look at that.
Or a chief in this sense. This also makes sense as to the reason why the New York Public Library and the Library of Congress have both indicated that the original title of this watercolor painting is King Powhatan, being as though some of the many Algonquin-speaking tribes were members of the Powhatan tribe, living within this general southeastern area that was once called the Colony of Virginia by European immigrants from London. So now that we know for sure that this image was a reproduced counterfeit copy,
This the end.
immediately nullifies all other copies of this same image that were produced by other artists soon after. This also exposes not only what the people of the American continent looked like originally, but it also exposes how the real image was changed to make it seem as if our ancestors were worshiping heathen or rather pagan idols of some false royalty of importance, when that is absolutely not true.
They
And of
changed
course, this should also make you wonder about those images you see right now surrounding many religious societies. and how there is a very firm chance that those images were once changed to hide the truth as well, which is all the more reason why you should question everything.
Okay. Yeah, right there.
Man.
Right there. That was because I wanted that part to be shown because it piggybacks off of what they did with Pocahontas's imagery, by what he was indicating that the whites changed it to fit their story. They did the same thing with Powhatan. It's unfortunate, but I am going to go deeper into that as far as his real authentic story and Pocahontas. But yeah, they're using it as a trophy. They're just trying to, they glorifying it to fit their means.
I want to say something real quick. Dane, you said about the historical society, Virginia Historical Society. So, real quick, you can put me up. I'm gonna be fast like flash. So it is a real thing. So they're gonna, like I said, the first colonies trade. You're gonna have the Virginia Company in London. You're gonna have the Massachusetts Bay. These different things. Well, it's gonna start off with Tonto, even though they tell us Tonto English. Nobody caught that one. I think Dane and a few other researchers caught that one. But what we're gonna see, what's gonna happen is why they're gonna play such a major role as we go through this Elliott family right here. They end up creating what will become, like I said, they're a very prominent family. John Elliott wrote the first Bible translated into the Algonquin language, which Chief Powhatan was Algonquin. Now you had the Old Plymouth Plantation. Now you had something called a Mayflower Compact. Now this show you how it go hand in hand. The Mayflower Compact was the people that came over first arrival. So what they did was they wanted to create basically like a government. And if you're not on this list, then you're not a part of this circle. And so they're going to use clubs and later through schools, they're going to use fraternities in order to keep these families together. Now, even though the Mayflower, no one knows exactly what happened to the original Mayflower Compact, they accept the translation that was found by William Bradford Journal, which comes 100 years later, 100 and some years later. And so he said he memorized it. But what's important about it is the Massachusetts Historical Society, what they did with that, and all the famous people that come with it. You got Jeremy Belknap, these different people like this here, which was the governor of Massachusetts, New Hampshire. We go into New England Society in New York. Now, right here, you have something called Forefathers Day, where the Plymouth Company, they have this day called Forefathers Day where they commemorate, and they always, they have reenactments of the Mayflower landing and things. So they built the club called the Old Colony Club, which is the oldest gentleman club in the United States. Now, as we get down, Virginia is going to take part in that. So Virginia is going to see what Massachusetts is doing, and they're going to have theirs. Their first took place May 13, 1807, when they celebrated the 200th anniversary John Smith Landing, organized by citizens of Petersburg in Norfolk. So they're following the path and controlling the narrative through these historical societies. And Virginia Historical Society, they got theirs from what they did in Massachusetts. Now, I don't know if I was up.
No, we seen it.
All right, now before we get out of here, so nobody won't say we didn't talk about the topic. I'm gonna get 3 minutes so we can just make shows, and they said they didn't talk about the topic. So we'll run through it real quick. So what is the difference? And we're just gonna close out. The difference of American Indians and Native Americans. We had an excellent conversation. A lot of people they may have never heard of what took place in 1905. In 1905, you had something called the Sequoia Convention, the five civilized tribes, the government came to them and wanted them to disband their governments because they're not tribes, they were governments. Now, let me bounce over to the next one. That was 1905. The people that were talking about were melanated people.
You got another one? You gonna play?
Yeah. We'll run through them. I think I did it from the bottom up though. Okay. So we'll come here. The passing of tribal chief Calvin J. Isaac. Okay, who is he? He is the first elected. In 1934, they're gonna come with something called the Reorganization Act. So when people are saying, "Oh, these tribes are gone or they're disbanded," no, the tribes that we see today were created in the 20th century. So we can go back and list Choctaw Indians from back in the past, but this guy right here became the first, elected chief, and this is when the U.S. government made them do away with traditional, and they based their government system identical to the U.S. Now, that's the Choctaw. Hold on, real quick. We're going to bounce real quick. All right, now that's the Choctaw. We're going to come up to who we got here. We'll put this up because this is a lot. A lot of people say this.
Cherokees were a slave-owning red native nation. So when you say you are Cherokee, you might be telling me that you're happy to have been a slave of the Cherokee. Oh, you better do your history.
That's where we get something famous in Indian history called the Trail of Tears. And let me tell you, family, no one can talk about the Trail of Tears because they weren't there. No such thing as the Native American or Plains Indian in this conversation. This is our world. This is our game. Now let's walk. The forced movement and resettlement people was collectively called the Trail of Tears, and it was a forced movement resettled people collectively. It was known that thousands of black slaves considered property by Indians also suffered and died on the journey. Okay, so a lot of them died. Now, guess what position that they played? They still were playing mom and daddy, as we spoke of these food cultures. So, guess what happened? Slaves who walked the Trail of Tears, they hunted, they had to cook, and they cleaned for their masters. Okay, they said we had masters. What's one of their favorite lines? You know, the Cherokee had slaves. The 5 civilized tribes had slaves. You wouldn't know, your grandma wouldn't know Indian. They was merely just a slave. So if we look here, we're gonna go to the slave schedule. This slave schedule is from 1850. As we go here, here's the name of the slave master. So the color of the slave master, they said they were Native Americans. No one never told the Native American was listed as black. Remember, they Native American. They should be listed as Indians, right? Indian territory. James is a slave owner. He's a Colbert, Choctaw Indian. So Choctaw Indian, you looking at Colbert, you're looking at an Indian name. They say, well, y'all took the names of y'all slave masters. You might be right. All the enslaved people, right, on his record, he's a slave owner. He got 3. He's enslaving 3 people, family. He's a bad man. Now look, he go to the slaves. One is a 26-year-old woman. One is a 9-year-old female. One is a 1-year-old male. Do y'all see where we going with this? Nene said these are his wife and children. Let's go over to the census. Right here is all his family. All of the slave masters. When we look on this record, all of the slave masters have a B by their name, homie. All the slave masters. All right, that's fine. Now, let me hold on. 2 more. Boom. Wait, I just saw him. All right, now I wanted to point that out for. Okay, this is the first elected Seminole chief, Billy Osceola. Now, this guy born in the 20th century. He has nothing to do with the Seminole Wars. He has no bloodline connection or nothing. He was, you see at the top, first elected chairman of the Seminole Nation of Florida. And there was some people from the Methodist Church from Oklahoma who came down to Florida and helped them put that together. Now with the Cherokee, their first elected chief is Wayne Miller. This YT guy right here, right?
That's the Cherokee's first chief?
Oh, that's their first chief, right?
Oh,
now,
damn.
He's the first elected principal chief of the Cherokee Nation in the 20th century. He also was a big oilsman. He was in a lot of oil, and they found that oil down in Oklahoma, the Rockefellers, the Forbes, and all them people went down
money,
there.
money, money, money. That's all it's for.
Yeah, so when people say $5 Indians and white teeth, no, white folks got the charters to create these tribes, and they used these what will later be called politically Native Americans as a buffer class. Okay, now my last one, who else got to get it? My last one would be. Did we put Cox up there? We probably did put Cox up there. But it's cool. I ended on this. Boom, 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 boom. I ended on this right here. A little short, 5 minutes. City of brotherly. Philadelphia. City of brotherly love. Home to the first U.S. Capitol. The site of Pennsylvania founder William Penn Holy Experiment. It would also serve as a home for the Religious Society of Friends, aka Quakers.
Seeking asylum in America, Quakers first settled in Northern Carolina, New Jersey, and Rhode Island.
Quakerism was birthed out of the Protestant movement. After fleeing persecution from the church, many found shelter in the New World, in Puritan colonies, where they would also be discriminated against. 1681, King Charles, the Black Boy King, would grant Penn the charter to what would become Pennsylvania. European colonialism was inevitable. Philadelphia would be the base that would change the landscape of American history forever. Quakerism wanted to establish religion, education, and also identity. Identity for the indentured, the slaves and indigenous tribes whom the Quakers attempted to govern, assimilate, and organize as a body politic and labor class in their own lands. Education would be established by Anthony Benezet, a wealthy Huguenot and Society of Friends member whose family escaped persecution and fled to the New World. He founded a school for Negroes. April 14, 1775, he and Benjamin Franklin founded the Society of Relief for Free Negroes. Even though their families were slave and indentured owners themselves, they advocated the abolishment of slavery and provided relief for free Negroes and Indians who would assimilate. The most powerful families in the colonies were melanated people of European origins. From the Stewart family, who founded the 13 colonies, the Slocum family, who Paul Cuffey derives from. Cuffey would advocate the indigenous tribes to leave America and to migrate to British colonies founded by Sierra Leone Company. Cuffey,
y'all hear that?
whose family were high-ranking Society of Friends members, would found the Friendly Society of Sierra Leone, planting the flag of British colonialism. Daniel Coker would also go over with the Sierra Leone Company and found the first AME church and also Creole culture. The Committee for the Relief of the Black Poor were loyalists who, after the 1763 French and Indian and Revolutionary War, remained loyal to the crown. Most were Scottish and Indians who were prisoners of tribal wars and also civil wars in Europe. They would migrate to Sierra Leone, the first British colony in West Africa. Another Black European family of status was the Allen family, the most powerful, a sister company to the British Sierra Leone, where they would be unsuccessful. 1830, prominent free Negro activists will organize the first National Negro Convention. The group will meet in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. In the home of Reverend Richard Allen, Mother Bethel AME Church, where they would discuss relocation methods of sponsorship for migration of people of color to Canada, the Caribbean islands, and Liberia. In the same year of 1830, Andrew Jackson Indian Removal Act forcing the ancient southeastern Indians to relocate west of the Mississippi River. A series of wars would follow. In the late 1700s, Scottish-Irish Indian agents interbred with southeastern tribes and formed their own governmental organizations under U.S. jurisdiction. President George Washington's civilization plan will complete the process to gain and maintain power over the tribes. This would birth the 5 civilized tribes. As the U.S. expands, the mixed-race tribes will sign false treaties, traditionally board the culture and customs of hunting, tracking, and food. Soul food, that is. And white Southern culture is called Southern cooking, which is Southeastern Indians' cultural food, also referencing Charles Hudson in the book published The Southeastern Indians in the Midwest, to be used as labor to build the U.S. expansion. This would become known as the Great Migration. 7. The Dawes Road. The Dawes Road would basically come in and reverse the 1866 treaties. Whereas before the land was given to the nation, now it would be individually allotted, which will allow the U.S. government to easily control who gets what and who gets nothing. The Dawes Road would also deem who would be considered Indian and who doesn't. If your family didn't sign up to the Dawes Road, then your family could never be recognized as an Indian by the
Descendants of former slaves owned by the Cherokee Nation are rejoicing. This comes after a judge ruled in their favor on Thursday in a lawsuit that stretches back to 2003.
This is validation of who we are. We do have our rights to citizenship through the treaty, and that the U.S. government hasn't passed.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. That's enough. That's enough for one night.
Man, listen, y'all. Y'all done gave me so much information tonight. I'm like, when I watch, I'm gonna be taking notes for a while when I play this back. I can't wait for part 2, part 3, part 4, and part 5. I want to thank once again, man. I want to thank. What time? Yeah, we've been about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But we still got almost 3,000 people in the chat. The chat is booming. Leave your contact information. Any last comments you want to tell the people? But wow. What a show, man. What a debut, Dane. What a debut.
Yeah, he did. I told him before we went in there, I say, man, look, man, I've been over there. This your debut. So,
Topcatz got his earlier this year. Yeah, hey, man, this is a good year. This is a good year. But Dane, man, what's your last words for the family?
Yeah, we was just talking about his grandfather. And I told him, man, go out there and represent, man.
Facts.
And my boy did his thing for sure.
Indeed.
You want to leave your information, Dane?
Yeah, your contact info, Dane. Any last comments?
DaneMakeYouThink.com is the website. I've done books. There's more books coming. I've done documentaries. There's more documentaries coming, but check everything out on there. I'm also on YouTube, Dane Calloway, and every verified Dane Calloway account on social media, whether if you on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever y'all want to call it. I'm everywhere. Got to be because of what happens, but I'm all about educating the people and getting them to think. Right. Again, I apologize that my camera's glitching like that. This is an old camera. I haven't used this camera since 2020. So I'll pull up the Canon, make sure everything is good. I'm talking about the camera, by the way. I'll fix it up for the next time, so it won't be doing all that glitching. But I hope you guys learned something tonight. If not, I'm glad that you participated. Regardless, if you learned something new, give this video a thumbs up. Leave it in the comments if you want to have these discussions again, or lectures, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, look, come on, tell Rich what's going on, and let the brothers pack. We could pack it up again and give another lecture. And for real, I'm nowhere near, didn't even touch the subject.
Nah,
so
damn. We prepared.
That's scary. That's scary. He barely touched the subject.
Y'all better tune in for the next ones. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because it's not It's not a game, especially if you're really trying to learn. It's not about separating the people. It's about getting these things straight for our people. Yeah, I love our people. Yeah, that's all I want to say. You know, I love my people. I really appreciate you all coming out. Shout out to my Niji. Shout out to the 13%. Shout out to BCU. And shout out to Rich out there actually doing it, you know, posting people up I'm familiar with on this channel and been doing it for a while, and they've been lecturing. You know, shout out to Rod Hayes. Shout out to Conjure Queen. Shout out to Billy Carlson. And shout out to Dr. Phil Valentine. Shout out to those that popped up here. Professor Griff, that be showcasing their work. Shout out to legendary Topcatz. Pop up here, do their work, man. We official. This is how we do. We don't play around. We may be doing this, you know, just because we want to educate you. How about that? There's a lot of scammers and grifters out there, but we ain't that. If you really want to learn something, you'll pop and stay right here. You'll pop up and stay right here. This is what we about. Really appreciate that, y'all. Thanks for having me too, by the way.
Indeed, of course. Thanks for coming through. Topcatz, close it out, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. 11/22 fade, man. Houston, Texas. We have the largest indigenous event going down. 11/22 Houston, Texas. King Simon got it down in the link tree down there. Fadeofficial.com. If y'all click that link, or you can go to my channel, Legendary Topcat in the community, and you can click that link. We are desperate for vendors because we got the space so big for vendors. We need more vendors. So y'all come out. The brother Red Pill gonna be down there. Conjure Queen, I talked to her. We're gonna be in contact. She's trying to make it down there. We're gonna King Simon. You know, it's gonna be a beautiful thing, man. So y'all pull up and many more. You know, we got line dances, Southern Code, Southern Soul, Zydeco. We're gonna introduce y'all to some foods that we eat in this side of the world, such as boudin, etouffee. You know, put y'all on that real gumbo and that Texas barbecue. Yeah, 11/22 fade. If y'all want to come out, come on. Right now, we are already at like 200 and some people. So this is gonna be, you know, I won't say Stone Mountain, but you know, I don't know, man. We might look up like we underestimated Stone Mountain out there, and it's just, yeah, but we got enough space. We went ahead and got enough space, and we're gonna make sure everybody comfortable and everyone taken care of. So 11/22. You can find me at BigChiefUniversity.com. And if y'all want that single, we've been here. You can also find that on there. Rich, can we take the show out with that? You got that up?
Let's take it out. Close it out. Family, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let's close out with this this video right here, this song. Oh, damn, no, you ain't got it? I ain't got it right now. You ain't got it?
Hold on. I can go get it. 2 seconds.
Y'all know we not no professional DJs, but we strive to be when we live. Y'all know that, right? Shout out to the chat, man. I'm just messing with y'all, man. Shout out to the chat. Y'all know we got love for each other. Okay? I seen some folks was coming up in here hating, I heard.
We ain't worried about them.
We ain't worried about, hey!
They can't
to learn too.
Richie Rich told me, say, man, Topcat, you ain't gotta say nothing to these dudes. But people was talking about that Stone Mountain, and I had to go over there and see what's up. Yeah, I bet they ain't say nothing else about it. I bet we ain't getting no more of them. Yeah, but shout out to them too. It's a respect thing. But we're gonna do it like this here, y'all.
Honduras, a God, the spirits rise. Smoke curling like ancestors whispering in the skies. Dr. Sebi in my left ear saying heal from inside. This ain't no new land, we the ones they try to deny. Before Columbus ever dreamed of ship to steer, we was building mounds, doing rituals with no fear. From Yucatan to Galveston, New Orleans near. That's a triangle of soul, but the map been clear. Second lines ain't parades, that's ancestral rights. Tambourines and feathers under full moonlight. We ain't immigrants now, we the original mind. Built pyramids and bone flutes before Rome took flight. Topcatz said it loud, stop begging for permission. Our culture ain't missing, it's just deep in tradition. We ain't African cause they told us we remember the mission. The land speaks Creole, soul food and intuition. We been here through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky, and the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing true through the pain and the tears. Granny sat me down, roll something slow. Said when you puff, give thanks, let the cosmos know. I inhale the jungle, exhale the flow. Spitting stories that the textbook still scared to show. So God lit like a torch from ancient rites. Aromas like prayers to the Orishas at night. New Orleans ain't a torch tale, it's black divine. Where the jazz horns spend time and the spirits align. Forget Columbus, we was dancing in stars. Trading turquoise, dripping culture in bars. Drums talking codes, spirits moving cars. Look close, the past ain't gone, it's just behind these stars. From Congo Square to Trammy porches, we built this land, no need for endorsements. The Mardi Gras beads ain't just for decor. That's soul armor, homie, we was gods before war. We been here through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky, and the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing true through the pain and the here through the blood and the drum, through the elders, the chants and the kiss of the sun. Smoke rise from the leaf, yeah, we talk to the sky, and the ancestors' rhythm, we never die. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing true through the pain and the tears. We been here, oh yeah, we been here. Way before they wrote their lives, we still live. This our home, not a place we disappear. Jaheim singing true through the pain and the tears.
Family, once again, I want to thank Topcatz, the legendary Big Chief Topcatz. I want to thank Dane Calloway. This is Radiohead Rich. Classic show tonight. Make sure y'all listen to this again. Not only that, make sure you share it with your loved ones, your friends, and your family. I've learned so much tonight. I'm glad a lot of things got cleared up on the channel in terms of things that people may have heard. Amazing show. Absolutely amazing. We signing out, family. Peace and blessings, everybody.
Hold on, Rich, one more thing. I apologize, Rich. They want to know how they can find the song. You can go to my page and get it off the community post, or you can go to legendary, or you go to bigchiefuniversity.com, click on the lectures, and it'll be at the top, and you'll get the download. But appreciate you, Rich. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, Topcatz, big Dane, I'm gonna talk to you soon. Thanks again, my brothers.
All right, we go.
Absolutely.
All right, peace. Family, I will see y'all Monday. I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna see you on Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Wonderful show. We've been here a long time, learned a lot. Thank you very much, family. Have a good weekend.